All right. Well, thanks for having me, everyone. Let's contact with Merge. We are the Wayfinding consultants. So we're doing a comprehensive wayfinding plan for Montgomery, which I'll show you the two phases that we've completed so far, but it's all the way from analysis through documentation. So you'll have a full plan that you'll be able to implement, as needed over time, in phases if you want to do that. So it's a comprehensive, it's the entire city boundary. So we're all the way from gateways to vehicular signs into the historic downtown area. So it's a full sign system. So we're Merge, and let's see if this works. There we go. You see that? Yeah. We do wayfinding programs across the country. Met me, but a few of you will work in stakeholder interviews. So we have extensive work in Texas. We're currently working in Austin, Georgetown. We've done Fredericksburg, Denton, Garland. There's some other ones on there. We'll put Montgomery on the list too. So yeah, so we know exactly what the DOT requirements are in Texas. So we're very familiar with that, and these programs have all been implemented. So it's, they've all gone through the DOT process. So we'll do that here as well, because we do have DOT right away that we have to deal with the vehicular signs. This flywheel is not working. Okay. So the first part of the presentation is the wayfinding analysis part, where when you think about wayfinding, you think about signs, but we think about it holistically. We think about all of the tools that help people get from point A to point B. So whether they're on their computer at home and they come here, or they're looking up before they come here, they want to understand where they're going and what are the things that they can do. When they get here, people use their GPS to get around. The environment plays a role in wayfinding too, where landmarks, districts, that helps people get around. And that's any support information like maps or websites. And then the signage, of course, is the things that are in place when you're driving around and you need to have information at a decision point. So like I said, our program is going to be comprehensive from gateways. We're going to do gateway designs, vehicular signs, parking, pedestrian, kiosks. We're trying to do park identification signs. We're trying to think of everything that we can put into this package. Doesn't necessarily mean you need all of that, or you're going to implement all of those things, but we want to make it a comprehensive design and package. So we think about digital. The orientation map. We're going to design an orientation map for you. On one side, this is what we have now, where it identifies businesses, and then maybe an example of something that we can do for you and make it as a design and part of the system. This is a map we did in Edmond, where you can show businesses by having a grid around the outside of the map. It's just a very simple, easy to read map that will provide orientation. This is one we did in Fredericksburg, Texas. They listed all their businesses on it. And they were able to do that because we divided it up into east-west. We had a grid. So I think that's something we could do here in the downtown, in the historic downtown shopping area. Landmarks play a role in wayfinding. These are your existing signs that are out there now. So we always do an inventory when we're doing the program. You do have existing park signs are the things that we can reuse some of the structures at the parks, or maybe add pictographs or things that enhance those that are out there now. You've got a lot. It's a mismatch of a lot of different signs. We want to make a coordinated design for the entire thing. We run through the information hierarchy. You don't really direct from everywhere to everywhere. So when you welcome somebody, direct to districts like the historic downtown, you welcome them to the district, and then vehicular signs, pedestrian parking, identification, get them to park, get them to walk, done an analysis of where we think potential gateway entrances are. So I think you have about 7 gateways where you could have an identification of, a welcoming message to Montgomery. And then the circulation, we start to look at where are those decision points, where circulation occurs from a vehicular standpoint. And then, really getting people to that downtown area, getting them to the core of Montgomery. And then the circulation in that core area. We've listed out what the destinations are that we'd be directing to. From a vehicular standpoint, the DOT only allows you to only direct to the public. No private businesses are allowed on, DOT signs. The blue signs that you have out there currently, it just says generically restaurants, I think, antiques, which really isn't helpful. To a certain extent it is. It tells people that at least there are some things to do down there, and that they would park and they would find, those businesses. But we can't direct to them on vehiculars. Pedestrian signs, kiosks, we're allowed to. In local roads, like when you get into the downtown area, you can definitely probably direct to like bed and breakfast, restaurants and things like that. Well, we have gone through this list with Dave and the steering committee, so we're working through what we're directing to. And most of it are all, education, museums, the parks, this building, library. So it's a community-based system as well, not just for tourism. We start to look at the terminologies and how they start to fit on a sign panel. Sometimes we have to abbreviate things from a vehicular standpoint. Some things we are directly at the outskirts, like the National Forest or Lake Conroe, we might maybe even have a sign there that just directs people out that way. Because you want to cross-market your people who are going to Lake Conroe or come to the historic downtown. We want to think about cross-marketing those things. Parking, parking strategy, you want to use that recognizable parking P icon, the international symbol for parking. You want to have it on your website. You want to have clear, parking maps. And we are working with the master plan document that you have, and understanding there's going to be, road changes, road closures, making more pedestrian. Parking might be updated, might be changed. So we're thinking about that as we design the signs. So we have a generic menu of sign types where you think about, and we just want to outline what are the sign types that you would potentially have as part of your system. So gateways, big, large monumental gateways, smaller ones that are maybe, in secondary entrances. We have the historic district's LED sign as part of this. Maybe that can get enhanced, or it can stay as is, or maybe we can add things to it. District identifications, vehicular directions for high speed, over 30 miles an hour, and lower speed, 25 or less, or in historic areas. Residential signs, parking identification, kiosks, district IDs, park IDs, and even interpretive signs for like the walking tour that you have in the historic district. So talk about the design. We have a lot of design considerations. You have those existing signs that are out there now that are on the backs of the stop signs. You have the color palette, red, white, and blue. You have the website, which has City of Montgomery, Texas, which is we're taking that as your logo brand, sort of. It's not the seal, but it's the logo brand. We have the master planning document that has elements in it. We have that existing gateway that's out at the bank. That's sort of a large elements, you know, the Texas flag elements, like your bollards, park benches. It's everywhere, so we realize that that's something that is what we're really taking into consideration when we think about the design. So we did 3 schematic design options, and we presented them to the steering committee. And I'll run through those real quick. We try to stretch them as far as possible. We then got feedback and then developed an option 4, which is where we are moving the direct design direction that we're moving in. So we'll show you these designs. Each of these designs, I'll tell you, have the Texas flag, right? I mean, we know that that is your identity. That is something that you know, we're using it as a basis for design. Like I said, we did all those Texas communities, and a lot of them are like, we don't want to do the star. We don't want to do the, you know, we don't want to do that. But here, I think it's probably really appropriate to do. So this was option 1, a more traditional version, almost a straight application of the, you know, the star, the brand identity that you have on your website. Again, I'll just go through these palettes. This is a second option. It's a little more contemporary looking, but we're literally flagging the blade off of the pole. So it's a little bit more of and abstracting the star, the colors on the back of the sign panels. And then option 3 is a little more taking some inspiration from the architecture, using that as the shape of the top of the signs, bringing the star in as almost like a medallion on the top of the curve there. So those were the 3 design options, trying to push them in different directions. The first one had a you know, historic pole that matches what your streetscape that you have currently, or even in the future. The second one had a silver pole, and then the third one had this white pole here. So the design feedback that we got was that option 2 was the base for design. So that was the one with the flag off the side, a little bit more contemporary maybe. The pros of option 1 were the black poles with the more historic bases, stone material, Texas limestone, that if we can bring that into kiosks or gateways. Option 2, the pros there were star finials on the top. The color palette was preferred, and gray sign panel where the information is going to be shown. Option 3, the pro is really the architecture-inspired panel shape on the top. So we came and took all that feedback that we got and came up with an option 4, which is sort of this is the design direction that we're moving in towards. These are a select few sign types from that generic menu that we were showing. So high-speed vehicular, lower speed, parking signs, parks signs, and then information kiosks. We have an option 4A, which has a silver pole, and then a 4B, which has a more historic pole. So there's options within options here. They all have that star finial on the top. So these vehicular directional signs, they're all reflective graphics at night. They can be modular so that you can change out messages if you want to, but they have that cutout star finial on the top. They would all follow all of the DOT standards when we design them, so they follow those standards. But you know, it has the color palette on the back side of it. We can put a graphic of the Texas flag, it's an interpretation of it. And then you can see some photo renderings of what that would look like in the after the environment. There's just a couple of different options.
Is it too early to, because that's exactly what I had on my list. I'm talking to people at the library, said, be sure you get them off 105, you know, Berlin and all that. So I'm glad to see that, because all of that's on that same block. So is C.B. Stewart, is that right before C? It's kind of between C.B. Stewart and Buffalo, right?
Yeah. So that's part of the steakhouse that way.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, so those are our destinations that are on our list, and they are nice, done, sort of, talk about programming, we have done a 50% of where the signs go and what they say. And tomorrow I'm going to drive around, take pictures, and try and locate where some of those go so that we can have, information or field work while I'm there. But yeah, so we have all of these messages already sort of figured out at a 50% level. But these are going to be very visible. Like the ones in Conroe, they're too small. They're hard to read. There's not enough contrast between the message and the background. I just want to point out that your palette, we always know it's probably going to be red, white, and blue. But we're also aware of wayfinding systems in Texas and then also in Conroe. We didn't want them to feel like they were similar, so we always keep that in mind when we're designing a system. That's the work. So another location. Can you go through that at the same time? There we go.
So, look, you just switched to that, that's what I was wondering. The current light poles downtown look like that, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense to transition in and out of town like that, right?
So the question on that is when you swap back and forth to the silver pole to the black pole, there's so that sign design is not this. But when you jump to the other one, the pole is nice, but it's that picks it up on top of it.
Yeah, it does. It's just a version, it's an option within an option. Because we heard from option 3 that some people like that cutout on the top that kind of mimics some of the architecture they have in downtown. Now, this isn't necessarily as close to downtown, but it's not in the downtown area. So do you do that decorative base out there? It's worth it to do that. We've done systems where you just have that decorative base as a clamshell only in that downtown area, and then out here it would just be straight pole, right? So it still would go together, same colors, but I feel like the black pole would be consistent. That you can, it's an easy transition into the historic downtown district in downtown area.
Can you go back to the previous? I think we was talking about there's a half on the second one.
Yeah.
And now I would always be thinking about pizza. So why would I not have the little?
Just as a 4A and 4B, just to give variety, because that's what we heard. Some people liked it, some people liked it.
I think it's a good feature, but it does stay in contrast where it's close up to.
Yeah. So in the previous one, it didn't have the star in front of it, or it actually looked like.
Yeah, it had had a medallion, yeah, right.
It looked like something other than just a hat.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're having these meetings, I think, I like the clean design of this one. I think if this had a black pole, I think it would be really sharp, and sometimes you're trying to fit things from different options that maybe don't fit together, you just want to see how that's going to look.
The other thing is, how hard is it to steal these signs off these poles?
Depends, I guess. No, they're not like just a one screw and you take it off. They are really pretty durable. Yeah.
Can you go back to the one that's with the line?
Yeah.
That one there? So if you take the hat off of that one?
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The black
Oh, I
With
see.
the black poles.
With the black poles.
So keep the black poles and take that off.
Now, this is 105, right?
Yep.
The other question is there supposed to be a star on both poles or just one?
Well, we only have it on one pole, but it can be on both. We were trying, because when it's a single pole, you still have the one. I don't know, it's just, it doesn't feel like it needs two,
Long.
Yeah, like it's long.
Yeah, somebody stole it. Yeah.
It's like we forgot to put it up there, maybe.
I like the
actually adopt.
Is that what it looks?
Yeah.
The previous picture, there's a star in the hat.
Yeah.
And then option, I think it was option 1.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people didn't like the star finial, you know, and if you had a star in the hat and then on the finial, it was kind of too much, but yeah, that's sort of the direction of the film. And the star it's a cutout, right? So it's got the ring around it, oh, like that. Yeah. So that's what that's like a cast piece up there.
I want it on both of them.
Yeah, I agree.
On both, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And then these are the options for the backs. So, you know, you can, you know, we can abstract the Texas flag on the back of the signs.
Well, why don't we put the flag on the back?
You could?
I'm thinking the flag makes more sense, Texas flag.
Yeah. Well, it is the Texas flag. It's inspired by the Texas flag.
Yeah.
The only thing that I know too much about TxDOT, and sometimes they don't like that, where it looks like a flag or something like that. We can present it that way and see what they say, for sure. But
Well, I mean, if I'm driving into town, I'm going, did I go into the Netherlands now? I mean, it looks like a flag anyway. It's like to make it look like a Texas flag.
sure.
So like the Dallas Cowboys silver.
Yeah, there's a.
Okay.
Where do you see the gateway? Where do you see the gateway design?
I don't know if I want to be in the Ocean football. You might also get a vision. I noticed there's not the go, there's not a go
No,
anywhere.
no.
We presented.
It's just been, it comes up in conversations all the time, so I just thought I'd bring it up this one.
We have presented some ideas we could go on the back of the sign as a playful design on the back. So the other sign types are, identifying public parking lots, and then park signs, using that, the star in the circle on the, instead of as a finial, you do it as a bar along the top, so it has like this cut metal look along the top. Using pictographs to say, what the amenities are in the park. And then you can have the rules and regulations on that identification sign as well. Now, I realize that you have, like over here, you have significant sign structures in place. So if we like the design, we can maybe add or modify those to have these graphics on them or add the star to them or things like that. I think we've done that in other places as well. So you're not building a whole new sign necessarily. And then information and ideas around kiosks. Dave, can you hit it's going backwards. Move the forward. Go forward. Forward, one more. There we go. So then that's with the black. Let's see, in this option, we have that part on P. It's sort of centered in that hat. It doesn't really look like a hat anymore. So.
So that kiosk would replace the one down there,
Well,
steakhouse.
we could modify that existing structure to just have the new graphics in there, if you wanted to do that. We could take a look at that and see if that's an option, or you could just replace it as a new.
Is that one coming down?
Well, I don't know.
I think the key is that whatever the master plan has in it, because currently, that's all going to potentially change, right? So you don't want to necessarily locate where a kiosk goes and without having that plan in place, right? So a lot of times we'll do this in phases, right? You could say, let's do gateways first, let's do vehicular first, let's save the pedestrian for when the streetscape is done, right? And then whoever's doing that streetscape can take our design and then just say, oh, this would be a good spot to have this kiosk over there.
So, but the ones that we're ready to roll on is 105. Is that changing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's completely outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Our,
Exactly.
whatever corporate does, they're doing. The only thing we have to change.
Right, exactly. Yep. So So you can see the Texas limestone stone base on here. Yes, it's put a rendering of public parking. Different versions of it. So currently you do have a sign out there, but it's kind of hidden off the other side. And you just want to let people know that it is public parking and they can park here. The idea is that you don't have to necessarily always pull up right in front of the place, right? You can park and walk around and things like that. So as the historic downtown gets developed, you could start implementing these sign types to create a system. The other thing, you're talking about locating a kiosk, sometimes you'll locate it right at the parking lot or at a public gathering space. So right at that exit of the parking garage, you get out of your car, you see the kiosk, maybe it shows all your business map on there. That's usually how we locate it. So we did some gateway ideas too. So the first one, bringing in that Texas limestone, bringing in that same typeface, a monumental gateway. If we can find the space for it, I think there's some out here that I think we definitely have some room and some space. But then also some that are just more on, secondary ways in where you don't have a lot of room to put something. Especially if it has a stone base because it has to be a breakaway and, that kind of stuff. So, but we're using that cut dimensional star, cut dimensional letters for the place of the Texas flag on the stone base background. And then there's just a rendering of where that could potentially go. So that's coming in from Lake Conroe. There's some significant room over there. That's prior to the one that's at the bank, so you're hitting this one first. The one by the bank is actually very difficult to see when you're approaching it. It's not because it's placed and set back so far, and I know maybe the bank or whoever the previous owner was there kind of did that there. But you want to do something, I think, that is maybe more.
It's going to be an issue, like you come down 105, and this is your fourth sign. You go up that one at the bank, get one a little bit farther in, and then the downtown district. Seems like pretty much.
Yeah, the one out here at the downtown that says Montgomery, that one I would take that one down. And I would keep the brick one that has the LED on it, and then that says historic district. It's like you see this gateway, the next sign is going to be a vehicular sign that says historic downtown straight ahead, right? So you're told that you're getting to downtown, and then when you get to the downtown, then you'll have that brick LED sign that'll identify that you've arrived in the downtown. The one by the bank, I don't know what you do about that. Yeah.
It's not all right.
Yeah, you just sort of leave it.
So I'm not really on that. I don't like the silver. But I don't know in my opinion. I don't know how strong that is. But it would have silver at all.
Could you make it white?
Well, I mean, we can look at it and make it whatever color we wanted to. I was noticing in this gateway design, we didn't bring in the black elements, like the black hole on this one. So maybe we look at that and then we bring those elements in and maybe get rid of the silver on the back.
It feels modern to me. I don't know what I'm like the expert. Yeah, I don't know if there's like the black holes on the other signs give it an antique feel, more modern color print, which is nice. It gives you a throwback to the history of the city, but also saying, hey, we're up to date. This just doesn't really throwback to any type of historical feel to me. It looks like I'm about to go into the 70s.
And you have,
We're not living in
you have the sign there at Pizza Shack, is that right? At the beginning of Montgomery.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yep, exactly right. Right at the mountain. Right after the light at that intersection. Right before there's a green sign, DOT sign, which we're going to talk to them and see if we can maybe remove that if we can. So that's not
Do you have another option?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
So this is that, and then you can add that historic marker sign to it. But, you know, if this had black poles, I think it should, now that I'm looking at it, the other one. Then you have that historic marker added to it, you know, somehow. I think that would help on these as well. But on the gateway sign, I think we have to bring in some of that color, the black color in some of that detail and make it feel less modern. I think that would help. Then we have another option, which isn't historical. So this one's a little more sculptural, but it has the, you know, the black band on the bottom that says Montgomery, Texas. But, you know, layering the different panels to create a,
So it's the white, oh, there is no white.
the
What's
white
in the middle?
panel is in the middle,
Okay.
and
Is it the
there's
same
the
height?
stars cut out, and then there's just like a wave of, you know, like a waving flag through there. So it's more of a sculptural interpretation of it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone that would fly.
So that's,
I like the flag.
yeah.
I said this before.
And then another interpretation of that. But see how the frame of it is that black frame, which and the treatment of Montgomery, Texas on that black background. I think if we bring some of that into maybe the first option, you know,
Yeah, I like
or
it.
come back again with another idea, another option. You
I
know.
like this.
Right. This has more of a traditional pillar type feel to it, but the, you know, elements, and then a flagged secondary sign.
There's any issue with the colors being vertical. Also, it's almost like it's trying to do the black, but it's not quite getting there.
It's backwards.
It's vertical.
It's, yeah, the stars.
The stars on the left.
Oh.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is that we need to be closer to the actual
Flag.
flag. Yeah.
I think it would be much better, well received in our
I think that would make that you know, is that like almost like a French flag? It's similar, like, you know, the vertical colors, I think that would be super. I'm not a big fan about, we've got Texas flag absolutely everywhere. And I don't know if we need 30 more Texas flags, but
I'm going to put up with this conservative flag. I'm with you, don't necessarily need it.
This was an attempt on the gateways to try and bring that in. Like on the red other signs, you know, maybe that's where we're just using the star on the top of the star thing, but we were trying to bring that in here so it would have a little more, you know, that you get an instant image of it. And you go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So that's where we are. The gateways are actually the first pass. You guys are seeing that for the first time. That's the first pass of doing the gateways. So we can go back to the drawing board and take your input and then come back with more versions of what that would be.
I like the stone of the first one. I just didn't like the question.
The stone is.
it's not, we don't have one, so. But no, but here's that.
You could do brick, but
It's not.
French flag. Yeah, when you're doing flags, that's always, when you stray too far away, then you're like, you know, we've gone too far, we
Yeah,
can't.
because we're proposing a roundabout, and now we've got French flag.
Yeah, oh yeah.
European. So, you know, that's where we are with it, and,
I think all looks good. I think like you're saying, it's, the flag is really difficult. And then trying to make sure we still are throwing back to the historical field. Some of the, like the silver poles and that gateway makes things feel pretty modern. And I would like to always have something, an element in there that says, hey, this is historic. But I think I've done a good job with
site checking all day tomorrow. I'm just trying to stay in the car. I'm not going to get all, try not to leave the car as much as I can. And then,
Now, where are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia.
Huh?
Philadelphia.
Oh,
Well, that's why you're giving me the eagle eye.
yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Listen, I designed a gateway that looked like the Dallas Cowboys, so it can't be all that bad, right?
He's a horn guy, right?
Some Texans colors is the flag.
Red, white, and blue, yeah.
You gotta win people games, get not
All right, so that's what you
Yeah.
are thinking you're doing tomorrow is.
Yeah, and then we're gonna take your comments, go back, we're gonna refine the gateways even more, but the rest of the system, we're taking that as sort of we're taking your comments, doing the black poles, putting the star on both poles, no hat on the top. And then we're gonna take that based off the programming and expand it out to all the sign types. So we only showed, a handful. You might have 10 or 11 that we're gonna, all the different sizes and things like that. So we'll take that design and expand that out, and that's the design development portion of it. And then,
I get you walked it, you've been in the historic residential area too. And I guess there's going to be signage to that. That's kind of a delicate thing because like I live there
Yeah.
and it's a private residence.
Yep.
I mean, when you buy a house there, you accept that people wander around. I
Yeah.
guess that's fine. Maybe as a general sign, like there's historic homes back here. Is
I
that
mean-
another plan?
currently, we're not really directing to the historic district, where the historic homes are. But we do have an interpretive, you currently have a walking tour with interpretive signs that are out there now. We could design an enhancement of that so that you have a boilerplate that you can then implement in the future if you wanted to do that.
It's almost like you would have people park in the city
Yes,
and
and walk down.
residential.
Yeah, so on a map, if you had a map that's like here, and then outline where the historic area is, and then you could have a line that showed where the walking tour was,
Yeah.
so that people aren't just driving through your neighborhood trying to park,
I guess
to
it's
get out of the
it's
car.
nice to have tourists come through that portion of the city, but having vehicular traffic.
Yeah, we're not directing vehicular traffic through there. No, just only to the park, but then just to the parking along the side of the park there, just across the street here. That's where we're directing cars, and then if they wanted to park there and then get out and walk, and maybe we'll find their way down through the neighborhood there, they could.
And we're starting to put out these signs for each of the structures, the residential. Have you looked at those? Is that part of your scope to like incorporate those or not?
It depends, I guess, how much you want us to do. I mean, we could come up with something new. We could take that system and maybe do a new graphic panel or something like that. We still have to come to an agreement on what that becomes, right? How robust do you want that to be?
I think that can just be those, right?
Right, yeah, she's designed those in,
More like what we've got, like, 10 of them out, or how many do we have out in the city?
I believe there's 6 out, and we've got another one, a template one for my Newman's house, not in production now, but we've got the graphic, for it. But, we had looked at yours and then the one across the street at Frank's house.
Yeah.
When we had drove through, and again, like we had talked about those, does that need to, match the other kind of, design vocabulary of these signs, or is that, I guess it's, where does the city want to take those walking tour signs?
I think what we usually do with those, and we're doing walking tours in Asheville, North Carolina currently, and one in Austin too, where we design a template of the graphic. So if you can imagine, you have those black poles, maybe you have a little star thing there, whatever. I don't know, I'm just saying. It would match the wayfinding signs. And then you have a panel that is a template that you could then, you know, get photographs, you have a blurb about it, and it's like permanent, it's a permanent sign. I mean, it's going to be like a porcelain enamel, you know, you see them in parks all the time, you know, that kind of thing. And it's a walking tour, so you can have a QR code, you can then scan it, and it can take you to the next one. You know, that's sort of what we're thinking could happen here. You do have it in a digital sort of format already, kind of.
It takes you to a website.
Yeah, and you link it to a website, and you can even, I mean, if you wanted to, you can take it to audio. I mean, you can do all kinds of things with it. But that panel itself is more of just a permanent structure. So whenever you see that there, it could have a number on it, so you know, stop number 1, stop number 2, you know, and then, you know, people go walking. It's a walking tour. It's not a driving tour. So, part of our scope, we could give you that template of what that sign structure looks like, and then what that one graphic panel design would be. Then over time, you know, you just switch out the pictures and write a little blurb on there.
I think for consistency, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
the advantage of doing that is then, you know, it's not dependent on, you know, one person doing the design, or that person's, you know, no longer around, or, you know, gets tired of doing them. And then you're trying to recreate that, or try, you know, versus having one kind of unified, you know, thought process, or one, you know, kind of,
Yeah, you would have a template. You would have a template that could be filled, and then you could have somebody do it, and they could literally, they don't have to start from step 1. You know, they have something that they can use. That was in that generic menu design. We have that as part of what we're going to do.
Can you go back to option 1?
Option 1. Back. There we go, option 1.
It's not like that bad.
That's taken from the street sign on the stop sign on the back.
See, that's getting close. I don't know about, you know, it's black and then it's a red pole. I've never seen that 3D wise, I guess. I read it all be black with 2 stars at the top.
Exactly that. I just like to find the sign shape.
But, yeah, the shape looks better. If anything, maybe it's animal.
Well, we can have that shape.
Yeah, break out that.
Y'all remember the conversation y'all had about this? You were on the same team. For whatever reason, it feels very fortunate about it.
The red, white, and blue.
I know, but it's like it's a heavy contrast on the red, white, and blue. I think there's a lot.
I think people like, instead of having a blue panel, they like the gray panel. In option 2, in option 2. So this, even though it just felt a little more sophisticated, you know, than having red, white, and blue. You know,
Absolutely.
it has highlights of red, white, and blue, but the gray panel is more of a, it's like a grayish blue kind of panel, but it's a little more sophisticated.
I like the red and the white, and I like the sign shape of option 1.
Yeah, I like that. But it seems like we're steering back to option 1, but I think this one actually is better.
Well, which one is the next one? With the black holes? No.
That's better than white poles.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you had the same black poles and gray sign with a different shape.
Yeah, what if you put that shape that was in the white and leave it gray?
For some reason, I thought it was that number 1
Yeah,
shape, not this,
I see what you're saying.
not this.
So if you took the shape, okay, so
Yeah,
I think what we're going to do is option 4A, go to 4A. We're going to keep that one, but with just black holes, right? We're going to do that, we're going to double the stars. And then 4B, what we're going to do is take that header, get rid of the red Montgomery, Texas in the header, and just put that header from option 1 on this one, and then we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that header, if you put the other one on, it's just gonna be.
Yeah, it's too much.
You pull it.
Yeah, so we'll take that header where it had the star and then it said Montgomery, Texas in the header, and then that'll make it won't feel like it's a hat anymore. And we'll get rid of that red on the top. But we'll keep the gray, blue-gray message panel, the legend portion of it. Okay, so we'll modify that and we'll just send that back.